for the webinar, which is on industrial reuse of treated municipal use water. On behalf of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, as well as on behalf of Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Government of Australia, I would like to welcome each one of you to today's session, which is on industrial reuse of treated municipal use water. And then one next. I think what is important of this session is that this topic is a lot about collaboration between various different stakeholders. And for us to really achieve this target of circularity of urban reuse water, it's most important that key stakeholders like government, industries, financing institutions, and technology providers come together in terms of creating these projects. And hence today, on this particular webinar, I'm super excited to let everyone know that we have key stakeholders from government, which is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, from state and city government, as well as a large number of our colleagues from industries, be it textile, power, real estate, also from financing institutions, which are multilateral development banks or commercial banks, and technology providers who are creating these kind of projects. So with that, we'll jump into today's sessions. Anirban, next. So the key objective of today's session is, I would say, threefold. The first is obviously there has been an awareness on the topic of industrial application for treated use water. We want to strengthen it further to make sure that these kind of projects scales up. The second important objective for us today is to really learn some of the lessons from our own earlier experiences and deliberate on ways to scale up these projects. And the third and the most important thing is that solicitate opportunities for collaboration so that stakeholders comes together and develop these projects going forward. So with that said, before we started this working on this webinar, when we did a small survey of our industry colleagues, and we asked this question to them that what are a key critical aspects or a material aspects for industries from their operation perspective? Is it impacting their business operations and hence the production? I would say the industry survey showed us that almost 55% of our industries who have today joined our webinar said that yes, it is a major challenge and it is impacting their business. Similarly, during the survey, we asked another question to say that would use water, or what I would say treated use water for municipal operations, would that be a secure source of water for industries? And I would say 48% of our industry colleagues said that yes, it could be a secure source of water for industry. While the no response has been 45%, the no response also shared with us that they are very keen to explore what is the opportunity that lies for industries to have use municipal water as a secure source of industrial water. With that said, we jump into today's agenda. I think I've spoken about what this objectives of the session is all about. We would soon be having Ma'am Tanvi Kar, who is the director with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to share with us the opening address. We also have with us Miss Emily McGaw, who is from Australian High Commission over here to give her a keynote speech. We will then set the context of today's webinar in terms of helping for people who don't know what this concept is all about and what are some of the early case studies of this project. And after that, we have eminent panelists with us who are going to share their wisdom on how development of such projects can happen. And finally, we'll wrap up with a very small poll to understand interest of industries who are keen to undertake such projects with support of our urban local bodies, government, technology providers, and financing institutions. With that said, we are waiting for Tanvi ma'am to come. But in the meantime, can I request Emily? Emily is the first secretary development of the Australian High Commission from New Delhi over here with us. And I will request Miss Emily McGaw to kindly provide her the keynote speech. So over to you, Emily.
And just before that, Tanvi madam has joined the session.
Fine. So I'm sorry about that, Gaurav. I didn't recognize it. So thank you, Tanvi ma'am, for joining today's session. As I mentioned to you all, Ms. Tanvi Garg is the director of AMRUT, which is the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And it's a great privilege to have Ms. Tanvi Garg with us. So, ma'am, will request you to kindly share your opening address for today's session.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. A little delay on my part in joining due to some connectivity issue as I'm traveling currently. Nonetheless, it's a pleasure to have this session, and um, I think I must put on record my appreciation for the entire team, DFAT and Avasi, who have actually enabled this session. The reason that I say this is because we are in the midst of implementation of Jal Hi Amrit, which is one of the pioneer schemes under the mission overall umbrella of AMRUT, to foster the circularity and sustainability in water reuse. The idea that this scheme Jal Hi Amrit propagates is to ensure sustainable operations of used water treatment facilities in our country. Currently we have about more than 800, in fact, around 850 plants, STPs of different sizes, which have enrolled in this particular scheme. And total, I think they're about 17,000 MLD of capacity that they are bringing on board. What are they enrolling for is something I'd just quickly like to mention here. This is the first of its kind scheme by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, to incentivize operational efficiency of the used water treatment plants. Now we are all aware that we have a lot of treatment facilities being created in every nook and corner of the country. The way the cities are coming up, the way country is rapidly urbanizing. However, we had this internal third party survey, and there was a realization that there was more required to be done on the end of ensuring operational efficiency. So once the asset comes up, once the capital asset comes up in the nature of infrastructure being developed, in terms of used water treatment facility, there was often a need felt for incentivizing better efficiency. Now, that is closely linked to one of the key objectives of the AMRUT mission itself. Under AMRUT, we are trying to ensure greater reuse of treated used water. And as of now, for 2026, when the mission actually comes to an end, the target that we have in mind for definitive reuse is about 10,000 MLD. Now, that's a tall order considering if you were to consider, the entire definitive reuse in terms of industrial supply and all is around a tenth of that. But having said that, there is a lot of good work being done by several states, and some of them I'm very happy to know that they are present here today. So it's been possible with the very energetic participation of private sector, and through this public-private partnership of sorts, I think reuse of treated water, good quality treated water, is the future when we are talking about sustainable development in this country. And whenever we talk about sustainable development, one of the key resources that comes to our mind is water management, water use, water efficiency. So I think it's a very timely initiative on our part, and I really appreciate the industry coming together today to share their thoughts and also understand as to how we all can take it together in partnership with the state governments. As you're all aware, in terms of the constitutional arrangement, both urban water and sanitation are subject of the states in the federal nature of our governance. However, through AMRUT mission and through particularly Jal Hi Amrit scheme, we are trying to incentivize the states. And here specifically, when I talk about the incentive part, there is very sizable incentive we are offering, not just at the state or the city level, but directly at the STP level, which could be used for innovations in water management, used water management. And specifically, there is an emphasis on reuse. So whenever we are talking about reuse, the general perception that has been so far and the general impression has been that, mostly horticulture, agriculture, and biological flow of water bodies to be maintained. So there's a lot of reuse potential which is there, and in fact it's happening. It's just that we are not able to capture the exact volume and the numbers. Also, I feel that based on interaction with the industry partners, there is a lot of demand. However, right now, there's a lot of information asymmetry on both sides. So what we're trying to do under Jal Hi Amrit is also to bring in that institutional mechanism to build up the information asymmetry. So we are proposing at the state level and subsequently at the city level, the formation of something known as the Water Resource Recovery Cell. What we intend to do with this is basically transform our STPs or the used water treatment facilities into resource recovery facility, both for the water, of course, that's being treated there and the sludge which is being generated. And through this cell at the city and the state level, we are trying to nudge the policymakers, nudge the city officials and the state officials to bring on board more synergy between the various departments of the government, of the parastatals, and also bring industry as a key partner in terms of providing that impetus for water reuse. As I said, the target of the mission, the Government of India target visually is 10,000 MLD definitive reuse by 2026. So in order to actually achieve that at the ground level, I think the partnership with industry, the private sector, is very, very essential. And we are in the ministry, in the AMRUT division, we are very keen on supporting such initiatives. So I'm really looking forward to the thoughts that are going to be shared today and the overall understanding that is likely to develop based on this webinar. And I hope and I sincerely expect that this transforms into more sustainable partnerships between the participating states and the industry partners here, which actually inches us closer to the target of definitive reuse. So thank you very much. With this, I would now request you all to carry on with the seminar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Tanvi ma'am, for your kind words. And I think whatever comes out of this particular session will be shared with ma'am in terms of taking her guidance on the way forward. So with that said, I'm now going to move on to our next speaker. We have Miss Emily McGaw. As I mentioned, Emily McGaw is our first Secretary Development of the Australian High Commission, New Delhi. And I'll request Emily to kindly share with us her keynote speech. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Newton, and good afternoon. I'm very pleased to be amongst you all today and welcome Director Tanvi Madam, the distinguished guests from industry and financial institutions and sector professionals to this respected multi-stakeholder learning opportunity. We know that globally, urban water insecurity, environmental degradation and unequal resource distribution present critical challenges for our rapidly growing cities. The impacts of climate change, rising temperatures, unpredictable rainfall patterns, unseasonal floods, intensify these challenges, and they threaten water security, sanitation and livelihoods. The vulnerable and disadvantaged communities we know are most impacted by this new climate reality. Australia and India share similar harsh climates and geography that has forced us to become resourceful and innovative in water management. Our engagement has always been an exchange of mutual knowledge and expertise, introducing innovative systems and technologies and strengthening capabilities of state and city water professionals, including in the area of water governance. Australia has been actively pursuing its efforts on addressing climate change. Supporting our partners to take climate action is a core part of Australia's international development policy. Indeed, our target is that by 2028-29, 80% of all new country and regional investments valued at over $3 million will have a climate change objective. We also need to ensure that climate risks are considered across all our investments, no matter the thematic area. The Australian government is delighted to catalyse this discourse in India's water sector through various approaches, like circular economy of water, urban water security, climate resilient communities, among others. And we are pleased that Australia's current partnership with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, the Australia-India Water Security Initiative, also known as IWASI, has enabled this journey since 2021. Under IWASI, technical assistance is being delivered at national, state and city levels to support the implementation of AMRUT 2.0 through circular economy approaches and advancing recycling and reuse of treated used water, supported by actions that enhance climate resilience. The Water for Women Fund is the Australian Government's flagship water, sanitation and hygiene program. It aims to promote socially inclusive and sustainable wash initiatives, and it has a global investment of around 160 million Australian dollars, and it runs across around approximately 8 years. Water for Women partners with civil society organisations, research organisations and local partners to deliver around 40 projects in 16 countries. This includes work in India. Between 2018 and 2022, DFAT collaborated with RTI Health and the Centre for Advocacy and Research in piloting wash initiatives in Rajasthan on recycle and reuse, and also in Odisha on urban inclusive sanitation. Building on the successes of Phase 1, the program was extended for an additional 2.5 years. The current phase focuses on delivering 100% climate finance eligible programs across Asia and the Pacific, while upholding its core emphasis on gender equality and social inclusion. So it's under this Phase 2 that Productivity is currently supporting Mahua in furthering AMRUT 2.0 goals and objectives, specifically under the Jal Hi Amrit initiative. It is my privilege to underscore the commitment of the Australian Government's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade toward advancing global water security through the above-mentioned impactful initiatives. These initiatives seek to promote economic development in partner countries by fostering private sector growth and cross-sectoral partnerships to create sustainable outcomes. Indeed, a key aspect of DFAT's approach in India is its emphasis on increased private sector engagement. As India-Australia relations continue to deepen, the focus on sustainable development in many sectors has grown stronger. Collaborating with the private sector not only drives economic growth and poverty reduction, but also aids in building robust economic partnerships. Projects like recycling of used water for industrial and agricultural uses exemplify this strategy by simultaneously enhancing wash access, promoting sustainable industrial practices, creating jobs and supporting regional economic development. We appreciate Mahua taking the lead in setting this platform for industry, financial institutions and states to enable these stakeholders to explore synergies, share learnings through events and forge collaborations. Interactions like these today help all stakeholders to understand the different perspectives of different players and consequently help open up opportunities for collaboration to mutually support the larger goal of achieving urban water security. Today's session will set the ball rolling with Mahua providing insights into the scale-up opportunities for reuse of treated used water for industrial purposes. We look forward to hearing from India's industry and financial institutions about their expectations and opportunities. Productivity will support in identifying avenues for cooperation and facilitation of robust partnerships between interested cities and various stakeholders over the next few months. We hope Australia's continued support in anchoring such platforms will significantly contribute to and further strengthen the Australia-India water cooperation. I wish you all the very best for your discussions today and your contributions in support of India's urban water security and climate resilient adaptation. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Emily, for that guidance, and we definitely look forward to taking this guidance and helping to shape up this particular program with DFAT support as well as with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs support. With that said, I'm going to hand it over quickly to my colleague Anirban to slightly set the context, share the concept for people who may not be aware. So over to you, Anirban.
Thank you so much, Nutan, and once again, thank you to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs as well as DFAT. What I'll do now is just give a very broad perspective on the context of industrial application for treated used water, why the concept makes so much sense for India, some of the examples of where it has already been done, what are the key drivers around it, and hence what are the key takeaways. So very recently, research was conducted, which kind of tried to link the scarcity value of water, the freshwater scarcity value of water, with a GDP. And at least for lower middle income countries, of which India is also a part, it was estimated that we can expect a GDP loss anywhere between 5.7% to 25% just because of freshwater scarcity. Now, water affects industries from a various perspective, given that from a priority perspective, industries have a lower priority on water. It can affect operations. Number one, it can affect your revenue, and hence it can affect your assets, the asset risk associated with it, the liabilities associated with, and your capital expenditure. So these are some of the immediate areas of financial concern for industries. Secondly, strategic in nature. Lack of water or water scarcity can hinder your ability to grow. It can create loss of market access, or it can affect your ability to tap into new markets. Ultimately, working in a water scarce area also comes with its own concerns around reputation management and branding. Finally, once the income statement and your strategic growth is affected, your ability to raise funds in the financial market are to take a hit. And that's why on all of these three reasons, more from an immediate financial reason, from a strategic reason, and from a long-term growth perspective, freshwater scarcity can hit us and hence hit the India's economy. I have a short poll now. Um, I just want to understand how would you rate the impact of water scarcity on your operations? Um, you can rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, wherein 1 is where you observe scarcity very, rarely, maybe once a decade or more, and rank till 5, where scarcity observed is almost annual and it's affecting several major or minor units of your locations. We'll just wait to see your responses. The poll can be accessed from the Q&A section, which is located on the right bottom of your screen. Okay, we have responses pouring in. We'll just wait for a few more. Interesting to note over here is scarcity is something which is not really evenly happening across India. Some parts of the country have a greater water scarcity than others. Some parts of the country, are observing scarcity more frequently than others. And so, with all the industries joining us today over here, it's very interesting to see how really this scarcity value is observed across the country and how evenly, how erratically, disjointed way, or in a fairly decent way. Okay, so we have almost quite a few responses. Can we share the poll results? So if we can see, almost, I would say more than 70%, for 70% or higher, have actually rated scarcity value at 3, 4, or 5. So that really just shows how often scarcity is affecting industrial operations. Thank you so much. Moving on, it's just not your own operations which are getting affected. With increasing adoption of ESG disclosures and ratings in this last few years, what happens is the companies, the industries, on account of investor pressures, have to also start disclosing their challenges associated with freshwater. There are several disclosure frameworks which expect not just industries but also financial institutions to report if they are invested into assets which are witnessing freshwater or even climate related risks. There are several ESG rating agencies as well, which are scoring companies, financial institutions, and their investments. And increasingly, water is becoming a key area of evaluation. Ultimately, all of this information reach to your investors, and that's where your market presence as a sustainable going concern comes into the picture. Now, on this particular topic, I would like to have another poll over here. So, in your opinion, has water-related risk or do water-related risk are affecting, in your opinion, your chances of securing better ESG ratings? Again, you can uh, rank it between 1 to 4, where you feel it's not affecting, or you can rank it at 4, where you feel that scores have been consistently lower than targeted because of water related challenges. We'll just give it a minute for this as well. Thank you so much. Okay, that's a minute. We can close the poll. All right, great. So over here, it seems, wow, almost 80% of the participating industries have, uh, uh, scored yourselves 3 or 4, which means water is something which is affecting your ESG scores ratings. And that pretty much, uh, ladies and gentlemen, uh, underscores the reason why we have all joined over here for this particular discussion. Now, given this growing freshwater stress, I would not say that it has not happened, but industries have been exploring avenues for avoiding this affecting their business growth. And to avoid and move away from fresh water, use of treated used water is emerging as a fast growing option. A couple of examples I would like to cite over here, and we'll be doing more as we go through this presentation. One example, which is fairly well known, is that of the Nagpur Municipal Corporation along with Mahagenco. This project was for 130 MLD of treated used water, tertiary treated used water, to be conveyed by a 16-kilometer odd conveyance pipeline from the used water treatment plant to Mahagenco. The funds were raised from a JNNURM grant and industry funds, which is Mahagenco's internal funds on a 1:1 basis, using a sequential batch reactor. Now, key parameters to look at. What was the benefit for the different stakeholders? Okay, so the first point was for Nagpur Municipal Corporation, it gave a beneficial outflow for the treated used water towards industrial applications. So on one hand, environmental conditions have been preserved. On the other hand, industrial growth has been sustained in the region. For Mahagenco, it actually benefited because the effective tariff, including operational expenditures, were almost 50% lower than the prevailing freshwater withdrawal tariff that they were currently securing. The second more important thing is this being used water. The competition around this particular water source is fairly limited vis-a-vis fresh water. And so these were some of the dual benefits which the industry also garnered. A very similar example was undertaken in Uttar Pradesh with the UP Jal Nigam and Indian Oil coming in together for another used water treatment project. This was about 20 MLD tertiary treatment with a 10-kilometer conveyance pipeline. Unlike the previous project of Majenko and Nagpur, this was conducted on a PPP basis. Uh, to UP Jal Nigam, the benefits were, it was now easier to adhere to the NMCG norms on used water disposal. 100% operational expenditure were recovered for the used water treatment plant, and the tariff was also designed to recover the cost of used water. To IOCL, despite all of this cost getting covered, the effective tariff was 40% lower than the prevailing freshwater withdrawal tariff. And again, the source of compete for this water source was fairly limited. Now, if we take these examples going forward, and as Tanvi ma'am earlier mentioned, the government of India has been consistently promoting the need for circular economy, including around used water. AMRUT 2.0 scheme actually has a target of ensuring that treated used water should be recycled to meet at least 20% of total city water demand and 40% of industrial water demand at the state level. It also includes 100% used water management in 500 AMRUT cities, and for cities with population over 10 lakhs, the projects must be implemented under a PPP mode. And this ultimately leads to the 10,000 MLD target, which Tanvi ma'am earlier alluded to. Very recently on the Jal Hi Amrit scheme, I'll quickly go through this because ma'am had already shared about it. It's about monetarily incentivizing high performing used water treatment plants, right? So a star rating would be awarded to the participating used water treatment plants on the basis of several parameters, not just of capacity utilization, but also most importantly, quality of treated used water discharge. So this ensures that the water which is getting generated, the used water which is getting generated from the treatment plants is of good quality, which industries can use for their different applications. And significant amount of funds have been earmarked for this particular program, as well as a water resource recovery cell are being set up at a state level who would be providing expert advice on this used water treatment plant management and, more importantly, the used water reuse. Uh, Not just at the central level, I also want to congratulate several of the state governments who have come out with their own respective state water policies or used water policies. And each of these policies have identified several reuse avenues, which starts off with industries or agriculture or for construction purposes and so on and so forth. Almost all of these states which you find here, their policies do support the reuse of used water for industrial applications, with many of the states actually taking reuse targets and in terms of percentages as well as a target here. Now, of course, it's just not these benefits. Beyond the obvious, there are several benefits which all the four stakeholder groups who are part of this webinar get to achieve out of this particular collaboration. Number one, for industries, I think replacement of fresh water, which is a very scarce resource, with a less competed for source of water, that creates security in terms of water supply, and it also helps improve your ESG scores, ratings, your scores on water positivity, and hence your brand positioning in front of your investors and shareholders. For financial institution, financing of these projects enhance your portfolio of sustainable lending and investments. Many of these projects are categorized under various national taxonomies as a sustainable finance project, and hence financing of this project will help you build those particular portfolio. For technology providers, I think construction operations of used water treatment plants have been going on for several years now. But this is actually extending the market beyond just the construction of the used water treatment plant to actual the transmission and the management and supply of used water towards industrial applications. And finally, for the government, it assists in avoiding environmental degradation through beneficial usage of treated used water vis-a-vis simple discharge. It also opens up new economic opportunities and avenues for economic development for the state, for the country. With these particular benefits in mind, I now hand it back to Nutan for a panel discussion where we have a renowned host of panelists who would be sharing their thoughts on this particular topic. Nutan, over to you.
Thank you, Anirban, so much. Let's move on to our panelists. Today, we have our most eminent panelists who are going to give us directions or who are going to tell us how scale up of these kind of projects could happen. Let me quickly introduce our eminent panelist. We have Joseph Ravi Kumar. Joseph is a senior water and sanitation expert with over 3 decades of experience. He's ex-World Bank and he has executed several projects on behalf of the World Bank of similar scale and size. He is also ex-USAID and ex-Tanzania. He has been the team leader for the National Urban Sanitation Policy, and as I mentioned earlier, he has worked in development of several of these projects. We then have Vaishali Suragar. She is the Chief Sustainability Officer of Hindalco, and she is actually credited for leading Hindalco in the top 1% SAP Global ESG score in the aluminium industry sector for consecutively 5 years. And she brings around 3 decades of experience spanning India, Europe, and Southeast Asia. We finally have Mr. Ajay Popat. He is the president of Iron Exchange India, and he brings in almost 4 years of experience in strategy, business, and organization development. Across his 4 decades, I would say 90% of his time he has focused on working with industries and government to develop recycling projects in India and globally. So with that said, I'll jump into our question answer round with our eminent panelists. So, Joseph, my first question is really out to you. I think we really heard all good things about the win-win situation, which is there for all stakeholders. While there is a win-win situation, the question is, why is still not happening? Why are things still not scaling up?
Yeah, good to be in this discussion on the reuse of waste of used water for industries. Yeah, as Anirban rightly laid out, the loss to the country in terms of GDP, and industry is recognizing the value of water. We still see the uptake of of waste used water project for in industrial application is not as much as what the ministry would like it to be, and what could be the potential reasons for that. I think the biggest one, I think, is the question of pricing. Right? At what price the water is delivered. You have to price the water. Industries in many states, right? Water is not priced properly in many parts of the country, and therefore industries by and large end up subsidizing the cost of water. And industries also then have the ability or the means or also are given permission to extract and use groundwater for their use, right? And so when you look at what price point you are able to supply treated wastewater, used water, to the quality that they desire, vis-a-vis the groundwater that is abundantly available, at least in many parts of the country, then that becomes a bit of an issue. Second, the larger industries, because of all that we have said about wanting to become environmentally conscious and may have the ability to pay, the smaller industries find pricing to be a barrier to use to purchase and use used water as well. So while we have policies in place, that's another hurdle as well. And lastly, I think also we need to want to look at the distance at which the industries are located vis-a-vis from the point of, the STPs as well, right? The farther the distance away from the treatment facility, the more the pricing is going to affect your pricing as well. So, so although the Ministry of Power, for instance, right, mandates that any industry within 50 kilometers of an STP is required to use only treated used water for cooling tower and other purposes, such schemes have not found fruition in other projects as well, because primarily I think, while the utility might set up the treatment facility, the cost of conveyance has to be borne by somebody, and that increases the pricing as well. So I think it's basically the pricing, because I think Mr. Ajay Popat is here, and you can talk a lot on the technology. Technology advancements have really brought about significant reduction in pricing, though, and also, they have different technologies to provide different qualities of water. You need not go the RO way. You can go the tertiary treatment with ultrafiltration, which gives you still a good quality water, but not at the levels of salt that industry would require. So one could look at those things, I think. But I think the biggest hurdle, I think, is one where reuse has happened is primarily happened in places where water is a constraint, and where price points have also dictated industries to switch. I'll stop here.
Thank you, Joseph. I think very well said points about where the water is a constraint. Second is really about the distance that plays a very important role. And I think my next question then goes to Mr. Ajay Popat is, you have worked on several of these projects. Please guide us. What would be a preference for municipalities to work on this? Would centralized system be a better way, or decentralized operations would be a better way in terms of getting this collaboration across stakeholders? Over to you, Mr. Ajay Popat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nutan. First of all, to have me on this very interesting panel discussion. And this is a subject which is very close to my heart, because we've been advocating and practicing the concept of using alternate sources of water to supplement industries as well as the municipal needs for freshwater requirements. And Anirban, it was very nice for you to give us an overview as how water scarcity is going to impact us, not only in terms of availability, but very importantly from the perspective of business fundamentals, financials, and very interestingly, our ability to raise capital, through the stock markets, or who's ready to invest. So, coming to the question, Nutan, that you asked about what is better, centralized or decentralized. I think both concepts are very, very important to be adopted and applied. The reason why I would believe decentralized wastewater treatment is better is only from the point of view that it's easy to manage smaller initiatives. Because when you have to set up large treatment plants, there is always a constraint with respect to space. There's a constraint with respect to capital. And please understand the scale of sewage treatment plant that we need to build for, let's say, A-class cities is nothing less than 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 MLDs. If you have to treat almost all types of the entire quantity of sewage. And it's a daunting task in terms of investments that is required, and very importantly, resources required to successfully construct, operate, and maintain the plant. So while the government will do its best to invest in large sewage treatment plants, and through the initiatives like AMRUT 2, where the treated wastewater will be then used as a source water to the industries. I believe decentralized waste treatment solves half of the problem, because living in a community, while we all aspire to have clean water, clean air, etc., we ourselves are the largest polluters. So if I am living in a housing cooperative society, I generate wastewater. And I think if I set up package sewage treatment plant, which fits not only in the limited area, even a city like Mumbai, where I live, and also the budget. It comes to, we did some calculations some years back. It came to something like about 2 rupees a square feet is the value of the investment. And Mumbai, most of the time, your average real estate price is anywhere between 20,000 to 40,000 a square feet. So it is something which societies can easily afford. They are very easy. This, advanced technologies which are now applied ensures that there is a minimum use of chemical, so you will not generate sludge while treating sewage at a community level. The energy consumption also of this treatment plants is low. The footprint is low. The footprint is extremely low, and the cost of treated water is something like about 4 to 6 rupees a thousand liter. And in a city like Mumbai, where I come from, if I look at my water bill, I pay up something like about 7 or 8 rupees. And the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai, the cost of treating, not the cost of capital invested, is about 11 to 12 rupees. So if you can get your source water, which you can use for toilet flushing, gardening, car wash, etc., etc., we are reducing the burden on the municipal corporations, burden both with respect to their obligations to treat wastewater and to treat it efficiently, but also the obligation in terms of capital investment, which subsequently can be used for many other users rather than just managing the waste generated by community. Now, having said that, there is a challenge on both areas, and the challenge is common. And the challenge is awareness. Most of the housing societies or the cooperatives wherever you live are not aware that you can set up package sewage treatment plants which are affordable, require very low maintenance. The maintenance cost is low, operation cost is low, and it can supplement their source water, which in many parts of our urban cities is supplemented by tanker water. So if somebody is using a tanker water and instead he uses treated wastewater, the cost difference is one third or even less. So you save on your water billings or water charges that you are paying. So awareness is the key, and through wider awareness on this concept, its affordability, success stories, I think together with the municipal corporations which are now investing, along with the initiatives of the government in the last 15 years, I haven't seen the amount of investment that has gone into treating waste all my life as much as what I've seen in the last 15 years. So I think together we should be able to make a difference at centralized level as well as decentralized level.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ajay Popat. I think you spoke about the benefits and the use cases of both centralized and decentralized, recycling systems over here. I'm now going to move my question to Vaishali. Vaishali, since the time I've known you, you have always been a passionate about doing such kind of projects. Please let us know at Hindalco, what are your key business drivers in terms of really taking these initiatives of creating collaboration and developing such projects with municipalities. Over to you, Vaishali.
Thank you, Nutan, and thank you, the eminent panelists here. So I'll just give a preamble about the Aditya Birla Group, which is a $100 billion group with multiple businesses in metals and mining, from where I come. While we have Ultratech, the cement business, Grasim, the textile business, and we do have multiple businesses, the carbon black and all that. So when you ask me about our objectives or our targets on water, so we are a company who has got an elaborate, I would say, guideline and emphasis on water neutrality, water positivity, and zero liquid discharge is something which is given. While we are committed for SDG 6, I think we are also parallelly committed on enhancing the recycled water content. So if I have to talk now about Hindalco, absolutely there is no groundwater usage in our factories. It is a surface water. And then even I think Mr. Joseph also spoke about alternate sources of water. So that's where we are trying to make our small factories self-sufficient with rainwater harvesting, while zero liquid discharge is giving us the entire recycled water back into the system. The tertiary water treatments are put in place, and almost 15 out of 18 factories of Hindalco, wherein the RO reject is also treated and used back, and the solid, absolutely the solid sludge, which is in the totally dry form, we are trying to repurpose and put it in for some use. So that's where the internal expertise, internal usage, and internal ecosystem is driven. Now, if you ask me, looking at the alternate sources of water, as we all know, water is infinitely recyclable resource. So water needs the technology, water needs the passion, water needs to be treated so that it is infinitely recycled. So as far as our operations go, quality matters. And that's where I think people like Ion Exchange and all are always working with us. And if you ask me the other part, we are eager to work with this municipal municipal treated water in many of the states, because we are working in 9 states of India, and especially few states which are, I would say, water stress regions like Karnataka. We have operations in Belagavi. We have operation in Kuppam, which is the Andhra and Karnataka border, which is highly water stress region, or in Maharashtra, where the MIDC always struggles for water. We are eager to partner and take this initiative ahead. And in fact, Ultratech has started such initiative in Jaipur with Municipal Corporation. And as I said, at Hindalco, we are eager to start such initiative.
Thank you. Thank you, Vaishali. I think one key message which came out of your discussion is every drop of water counts. And the second message, I think, which came also that, this water is would be one of the secure source of water. So I think those were the two key messages. So thank you for that. I'm going to jump into another question for Joseph. Joseph, you have worked on several projects. Can you cite what would be the key success factors for developing such projects, and can you cite it through a case study, please? Nirban, can you share the screen?
So while Anirban is trying to get the slides on, right, and in the interest of time, let me just start to give you the narrative. I come from Chennai, and Chennai, as you see, right, is dependent primarily on rainwater, monsoons, to replenish the surface lakes as well as the groundwater. There aren't any perennial rivers in the city, and therefore, if a failure of the monsoon means a scarcity of water. And when there's a scarcity of water, the first casualty is the supply of water to industries. And so there's a large petroleum refinery in Chennai called Chennai Petroleum Corporation, CPCL, which this is a 10 ton per day facility to process crude. And in 2001, the industry had to be shut down for lack of water. Between 2001 and 2004, they had to operate the industry with 500 tanker water. Just imagine, one, the nightmare to procure the water. Second, the quality of the tanker water that you get. And third, trying to get tanker water through busy communities and roads to your refinery. The industry then took a conscious decision in 2005 that they would buy secondary treated wastewater from Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board, at that point a prevailing price of about 8 rupees per kiloliter. And they would then establish a treatment facility with the available technology then to process the water and then reuse it in their facility. That facility has since been, because of technology advancement, has been retrofitted, and you have a new technology in place, but still, they still procure about 20 million liters of secondary treated sewage till this day from Chennai Metro Water. And what that has done, go back to the previous slide, Anupam. What that has done is that they are able to now to meet all the water needs of the industry and for the future, foreseeable future as well, at price points which are very comfortable. What they were paying to the to the utility was about 60 rupees per kiloliter. And even after considering the cost at which they buy the water, the secondary treated wastewater, they're able to, the price of the processed water is about 45 rupees per kiloliter. So annually, they save something like 126 million rupees. And secondly, what it has done to the utility, which is Chennai Metro Water, is that they current price of secondary treated wastewater is about 20.25 rupees per kiloliter. And that gets them about, close to about 225 million rupees annually. And that helps them in meeting the more than adequate resources available to operate the treatment facility. Because one of the things that we have seen is in India, we are able to, capital is coming from the national government or from external sources to create the infrastructure. But the operation of that is always, becomes an issue. And when you have this kind of resource available, that helps in financial sustainability of the utility as well. What it has also shown the utility is that here is an opportunity because we have now adequate resource in terms of wastewater, which we can then process and sell to industries. So taking a cue from that, they then decided, go to the next slide, Anirban. They then decided that the utility decided that they would establish 2 tertiary treatment plants. So they had already a secondary treated wastewater at 2 facilities, one in the northern part of the city and one in the southern part of the city, established a tertiary treatment and reverse osmosis plant, which then supply each of 45 milliliters per day, supplying treated wastewater to industries. Together, these 2 plants supply about 90 milliliters of wastewater, and the price at which it's being supplied initially was priced at about 80 rupees per kiloliter. And the one in the southern part of the city is supplying water to an organization called the State Industrial Promotion Corporation of Tamil Nadu. And so they had wanted it to be given at a slightly lower price because they had some commitments to deliver, because that was the organization responsible for delivering water to industry. So the price at which they were supplying to them was 65 rupees. And to the northern industries was about 80 rupees per kiloliter. These two together has ensured that all industries in and around Chennai are provided only with secondary treated wastewater. And that has meant that the utility now has 90 milliliters of wastewater from these tertiary treatment reverse osmosis plant available, which could then be used to increase water availability for the citizens of Chennai. So also what it has shown the utility is that treatment and production of water of this quality is feasible, and you can deliver water to industries as well. Recognizing that this is indeed is feasible, the government of Tamil Nadu, because it's quite keen on in attracting industries to the state and also wanting to grow the state to a 1 trillion economy by 2030, and recognizing that water is going to be one of the key drivers which might be needed to attract industries, but also recognizing that water could be a constraint, has made it that treated wastewater, the first charge of that would be to industries, and only then would the others have a queue. So then go to the next slide, Anipan. So what they have done is, at least theoretically, have mapped all wherever there are sewer treatment facilities, mapped wherever there are industries, and drawn what they call a potential water grid, so that you would then be able to match the demand with the available treated wastewater to supply to industries. And this is a concept which the state government is now working on, drawing on the lessons from the experience that they have done in Chennai. And the last slide is a potential structure if you want to take these projects forward. Here you see, urban local body, which is the custodian of the treated wastewater. It could be either a new STP or it could be a new one or an existing STP, which then is then processed to advanced treatment to the levels as required by industries. and then the treated wastewater is supplied through these grids to the industries. You could either do it through a concessionaire who then invests the money and then supplies the water to the industries, and the nodal agency which will liaise on between the concessionaire and the industry would be the State Industry Promotion Corporation of Tamil Nadu, and they then in turn will get the water and then supply that to the industries, and that is the structure that is envisaged, and it is still in the concept, but learning from Chennai, I think they're quite keen on going forward on this. I'll stop here, and and we can take questions or others as we move along.
No, so this is fantastic, Joseph. And what I really liked about what you spoke about is we have heard about energy grid, we have heard about water grid, but we also heard today about the use water grid. And I think the infrastructure development in that sense of creating use water grid across cities, across state, I think is a phenomenal opportunity, not only from a water security perspective, but also from a perspective of enhancing our economic growth as India. So with that said, let me jump on to Mr. Ajay Popat and ask him another question for us. Mr. Ajay Popat, you have undertaken several projects on recycling for industries. Can you just share, basis your lessons learned, what are some of the three things that we can simply apply to this use water case when you have to work with urban local bodies? So over to you, Mr. Ajay Popat.
Yeah. So while we have set up some of the largest industrial wastewater recycle projects in the country, the largest, if I have to quantify, is to the extent of something like about 48 to 50 MLDs. And these are set up in refineries, these are set up in large steel mills, these are set up into large chemical industries. And it starts with treatment of the raw effluent right up to zero liquid discharge. So we are presently constructing one of the largest zero liquid discharge facility for Indian Oil Corporation, and that exemplifies the amount of maturity some of the industries have shown to treat wastewater generated by them and to ensure complete zero liquid discharge. Now, since our panel discussion is on the subject of treated use water, I would restrict my sharing of experience related to treated used water. And to an extent, it will supplement what Joseph presented in his very beautiful 4 or 5 slides. A case where, and it's a case where, it's a win-win situation. I like to narrate this case in most of my talks, not only because, it's a very impressive project done by my company, but more than that, it's a real case of win-win. So in any concept that you're trying to sell or market, if every stakeholder doesn't see the benefit, then there's a limited chances of its success. So here we are talking of, in one of Joseph's slide, in terms of how to structure a case or a project using all the stakeholders. If everyone does not benefit, the chances of replicating such cases becomes limited. So this is an example in Kutch, where the annual rainfall is just about 2 inches or 3 inches. And there are industries there, particularly some large textile conglomerates who consume large amount of water for their dyeing, as well as there are many other industries who are consuming water. 3 municipal corporations around which the industry clusters were located, and none of these municipal corporations had the financial budgets to treat their wastewater, the sewage. So the waste sewage used to be collected in a pond, and it led to a lot of issues with respect to social health and hygiene. So we approached the Gujarat government with a partner and saying that we would like to own up the wastewater this day, which is generated by these 3 municipal corporations, and we would invest in setting up a state-of-the-art sewage treatment plant, and the entire treated sewage will be used by industrial customers. So it's a very simple proposition that you take the waste. So the municipal corporation does not have the burden to set up a sewage treatment plant, which otherwise, as I said, is their obligation. But due to financial constraints, they are not able to do so. Once a sewage treatment plant is set up, the benefit is to the community, because now that huge space which was occupied by sewage and which caused a lot of health issues now has just disappeared, and you can convert that into a park. And for the industries which were struggling to get water, the GIDC supplied them water, but at a price of something like varying between 20 to 35 rupees a meter cube. So we put this proposition, and we set up a 40 MLD sewage treatment plant. It freed a huge land, which otherwise where the sewage was, just getting dumped. Industry was paying something, as I said, between 20 to 35 rupees over the span during which the project was constructed. We started selling them water at 12 rupees. So for someone who pays 20 to 35, and if we say I'm going to give you water at 12 rupees, we didn't have to go and sell the treated water. We had a queue of people coming up to us, because water cost today is, if somebody who ignores the cost of water is doing at his own peril, because I say that water is a raw material, it's no longer a utility. So we benefited the industry by not only giving them round the year water, but also at a price which was substantially lower than what they were paying. For the municipal corporation, because we would depend upon them to supply us the raw material was untreated sewage. We said that for the 20 years, we'll give you a tipping fee of 70 paisa a liter. I mean, it was just, they didn't do anything, but just to see that they make supplies to us, and we give them a tipping fee. And they didn't have to invest in a municipal sewage treatment plant. So they were earning 70 paisa, as Joseph's model also showed how Chennai Metro started earning money by selling a waste. So the municipal corporation got benefited, the community got benefited. The industry saw a very big benefit in terms of price of water, which was now available to them. And at the price at which we are selling, at about 12 and 13 rupees, we are also making money. Okay. And the plant is in operation since last 7 years. We are operating and maintaining the plant. And this is a fantastic case of a win-win situation where nobody is a loser. And it is very easy to replicate this sort of models. What I talked to you about was at a centralized level, but something very similar on a financing scheme can also be done for a housing complex, because many a time people do not adapt or accept a technology. One is they do not understand it, number one. And since they do not understand it, they are not sure that they should do an investment. So apart from creating an awareness, if someone comes and says that, okay, you don't worry, as we told the municipal corporation, we will set up the facility, we'll give you tipping fee, we will sell the water to industry at a concessional price than what they were receiving from GIDC, and we will benefit out of it through this whole concept. And here we do not take any aid, but otherwise, a lot of aid is available, a lot of capital is available, which can even further improve the competitiveness of our proposition. So this is a classic example of, I would say, win-win for everybody, can easily be replicated, and we would be very happy to share this experience. We would be very happy to invest, because this is an investment by a private body. And we have done this also in industries. Like, for example, I'll just give one example, because as I told you, we've done so many ZLDs for the industries. Was for Hindustan Zinc. And they had very complex effluents generated in their mining process. And while they were not very sure about the technology, what we proposed, and that's where comes the question of why a technology or a concept would not get accepted. And we said, we'll invest and we will sell you water. So this is something which has been happening since 2 years now. So we treat their complex water, we send back that water for them to use, and we sell them water. And it is again a win-win situation between a generator of a waste and a supplier of water by treating that waste. So when you said in the beginning, Nutan, that one of the objectives for you and your team is to go around clusters and disseminating knowledge on how this can be done. As I said at the very beginning, it is very, very important thing that you are doing, because it's very important to create awareness. And once people become aware, they become conscious and they become confident. And if they are not confident, we'll bolster their confidence by investing in technologies and see that everyone benefits by using treated used water or industrial effluent at a central or a decentralized manner.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay Popat, for that kind of examples and for really steering the confidence of all our colleagues who have joined here today, both our urban local bodies as well as industries and financial institution. My last question, which is there for the panelists, and then I'll open it for audience to ask, is to Vaishali. Vaishali, I have always seen Hindalco and ABG as passionate people on water. If you have to take up this initiative and drive it, which would be your focus state of interest, not only for Hindalco, but also for the ABG group? Over to you, Vaishali.
So, Nutan, as I mentioned, we do assessment, water stress region assessment, or we use the aqueduct tool, India water tool, or even done the extensive risk analysis of each of our factory locations using the various tools available, whether it is AXA climate tool. And that has given us an understanding about the, I would say, the perils in the years to come, and whether it is flooding or whether it is drought. So in that line, we see 4 of our factories are in those states where the water stress or the upcoming challenges or water will be faced by these factories. In fact, consciously at these locations, we are doing a large scale water harvesting, as well as we are even working on beyond fence with CSR team on water table charging, water basin charging. So these are some of the initiatives we are doing at all the factories, but these 4 water stress factories, especially Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and as I said, Kuppam is on the Andhra-Karnataka border. So we are eager to work on any of these partnership initiatives, and beyond that also, as we know, water risk is the risk, and everyone must work on becoming self-sufficient. And as we are committed for SDGs, we want water to be amply available to our community first. And that's where I'm saying that I want my all factories to be self-sufficient. And my co-panelists, as Mr. Joseph and Ajay both spoke about the Kutch model or Chennai model. We can always have one Aditya Birla Group model or one ABG, and we have a concept of one Aditya Birla Group. So we can think of a one ABG model in Karnataka.
Sure. I mean, we would be very happy to join hands with you, Vaishali, lend our experience and to get, and see, this is very important, because one of the reasons you will not find ion exchange very prominently in doing, large municipal sewage treatment plant is that essentially our comfort lies in working with industries, because we are essentially 80-90% of our business comes from industries. Okay. And we have a 60 years of relationship with companies like Aditya Birla, for example.
True.
Okay. We have a similar ideology. And if we join hands using your connects, your area specific, relationships with the state or the local bodies, and we can just come in as your partner and see that we could replicate some of the projects that not only we've done in municipal, like what I mentioned, but also for your company and many other companies.
Thank you, Ajay, for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Vaishali, thank you. I think you spoke about Gujarat, Karnataka, and Maharashtra, Vaishali. And I think with ABG Group, I think across India, there could be opportunities for creating these kind of projects.
One more point, Nutan. We were thinking of a PPP model. We in fact designed the PPP model, and we wanted that PPP model to be rolled out in Uttar Pradesh also, which is our mother plant, Renukut, and we have in fact ion exchange treatment facility in Renukut factory. And there itself we have Grasim, we have carbon black of Aditya Birla Group itself in that cluster. So we can have one Aditya Birla Group model happening in even Uttar Pradesh.
right?
Sure, absolutely. I think we will be sharing these notes across to our colleagues, in working with Mahua on these things. So with last, I would like to open the question and answer session for our audience. Please write down your questions to the panelists, and we'll be happy to facilitate that. Nirpan, can you see the questions if they're coming up? Okay, so there is a question, I think, how about having a portal with list of treated water sources and sink, so that if any industry is looking to utilize treated water, they can immediately identify source and vice versa. So I don't know, those of you, would you like to take it up? Because I know we have people from the government, but would love to get your insight because you have worked with government as World Bank on developing such projects.
The government of India has these, actually started off with this service level benchmarks, which at that point mandated 20% of all used water generated to be recycled and reused. And the 14th Finance Commission also mandated if the cities were to access this, they had to report on those service level benchmark indicators. So then there is a reporting which happens from the state to the national government as well. Some states probably felt that was too burdensome for the kind of money that was being offered, and so probably did not access that. But I think now that Mahua is quite keen on pushing this used water, and they are financing in a big way, their portal will definitely be one source to look in to say where projects are getting implemented. Somebody had shared a preview to some of the projects that are being conceived at Mahua level, and they are pan-India, and they will not only look at capacity expansion of STPs, but they're also looking at where used water reuse is also being planned as well. So they are capturing that information. So that information will be available at the central level. And because states are financing, accessing money and are submitting, proposals to the national government, so the state governments would have that as well. And many states now have policies that mandate reuse of treated wastewater, right? And so there is definitely, like what Tamil Nadu has done, trying to map out where the STPs are, where industries are. That information will be available going forward, both at the state level, but definitely at the national level as well. Those could be two important points to look at.
Yeah, Mr. Ajay.
Yeah. So I think it's a very interesting and a very good question. And I would just like to add a bit to it. I happen to be visiting the headquarters of NMCG in Delhi because we were partners in implementing an advanced oxidation technology, and we had signed up a licensing agreement with Terry to develop this technology for treating complex waste. And that inauguration happened to be in NMCG because NMCG had liked the technology tremendously. They took me on a tour, Joseph, and I was very impressed that the NMCG programs, which talks about cleaning of Ganges or Ganga across the 5 and 7 states, they had a virtual map in very huge, in the offices, which shows at which point which sewage treatment plant the water is being treated and it is made clean and available for anybody to reuse. So I think it would be a good idea to make NMCG as a base from where such information can easily be collected. I'm sure their website also would be having details on the various initiatives that are done in order to stop the waste entering into Ganga by setting up either interceptors or even treatment plants.
Thank you. And I think I'll just add one more thing is as as ma'am really said, WRRC is getting established at state and city level. And I think one of the key objective of WRRC is to facilitate this collaboration. So maybe this is a very good question, and we'll definitely share it with Mahua to see what could be done by WRRC in terms of developing this kind of a tool where industries would be aware of the used water sinks which are available for industries to tap into. With that said, I'm cognizant of the time. I'm moving on to the next question. Maybe this is to Vaishali. Is there any compliance requirement for industrial sector also to use the treated wastewater for any specific concern? And this is from Monica. So over to you, Vaishali.
So, before I take Monica's question, I just want to add some more thing. Like on that portal, if we can have a bank of, I would say, treated water, it can be a bank of treated water and availability with quality. So that industry can quickly say, I will take the water from X resource than the current surface water. So that will help. Monica's question, Monica, today's compliance requirement is zero liquid discharge. And nowadays it started even asking for rainwater harvesting. So zero liquid discharge is mostly mandated, and that's where 100% of the water which is used in our process should be treated and used back. So that way Hindalco, 28% of our water is, I would say, treated, and it goes back in our process. So what goes out is evaporation loss and nothing else.
Sure, thank you. I'm going to take this last question cognizant of the 4 minutes that we have left. My last question is again, sorry, Joseph, to you. Please explain about the use water grid proposed in Tamil Nadu. And for the others who have asked question, we will definitely take the response from the panelists and share, because I'm just cognizant about the time that we have, because we have one more poll to go. So apologize for that. But believe me, we will answer those pending questions and email it across to the people who have asked those questions. So over to you, Joseph.
As I said, learning from the experience from Chennai, the state was also cognizant that water supply would be a constraint to attract industries across the state. And Tamil Nadu is one state where industries are diverse and are also distributed across the state. And it's also one of the most urbanized states in the country. So there are several STPs or sewage treatment facilities which are located across the state. And what the state then wanted to look at was, what could be the potential to supply the treated wastewater from these sewage treatment facilities to these industrial clusters. And basically looking at industrial clusters where they could supply them. And so they mapped where all the STPs were located. They mapped where the industrial clusters were located. They have done a preliminary assessment in terms of the demand as well as the quality of the treated used water that is required. They also have mapped the distance from the sewer treatment facility to the industrial clusters as well. And from that, they drew what they have come up with. There are 56 potential sites across the state where reuse of treated used water is possible, and they have mapped it together and they've come up with this industrial water grid. So essentially, it means that if you're located in a city X and you have a cluster which is about, say, 10 kilometers away, then that particular cluster will get the first charge of all the treated sewage to supply to industries. And similarly, they've done this exercise across the state. And now going forward from what they have learned from Chennai, they probably want to pilot this initiative in a few locations where industries clusters have grown and where large industries are there before moving to other clusters as well in a phased manner as well. And they're planning to do this in a PPP mode in a structure that I had indicated in the presentation as well. I hope that answers the question.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you so much. I think my thank you to all of my eminent panelists for being here and for sharing such insightful aspects. We now go to the last part of it, which is all about this particular poll, that if you're interested to explore a collaboration to source treated use water from a municipal authority in your vicinity, kindly share or kindly scan this particular form that we have. Anirban, next. And please share the details. We plan to take the interest from each one of you and see how we can facilitate those kind of collaboration with the guidance of Mohua, with the guidance of DFAT over here. So are you interested? The answer is please.
Yeah, so the answers are coming in, Nutan. So we'll just
Okay.
give audience some time.
Okay, fine. And then we will ask the next question to share the feedback and give us more details on the plants, right? Okay. Then you can take forward this part, Anirban.
Sure, Nutan.
Also, don't limit yourself.
Yes, Joseph. Joseph, you're saying something.
I think some networking tools probably.
Joseph, are you there?
I think we have lost him.
Oh,
Yeah.
lost him. Anirban, do you have the phone answer ready?
Yeah. All right. We can stop this particular poll and take us to this next form. So this is for the feedback. I think this will help us capture your feedback, your interests of securing used water. So in case you are looking for treated used water, you are facing water stress, it will be really helpful if you can please fill up this feedback form. The QR code is in front of you. You can share basic details about the location. Um, if you're already aware of which is the nearest used water treatment plant, that would be fantastic. But if not, we can also work back with Mohua and find that for you. The second information which we will really request you to talk about is the amount of used water you are really looking for. So those are the two pieces of information we'll request from you. And of course, number three, any feedback you would like to share about this webinar, what you liked, what could have been better. It would be very useful for us because going forward we'll have more of such uh, uh, touch points between the industry and the government so that we keep tracking the progress as to how we are moving forward. I'll keep this QR code on for a few minutes for all of the participants. Um, and in the meantime, Nutan, I would hand it back to you for perhaps a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Anirban. I would say this particular information, the objective is to share inputs from you all and to see where all we could potentially support in terms of collaboration. In case if you have questions, please write to us. We will also reach back to you to see how we can further support you on this particular journey. But with that said, on behalf of Mahua and DFAT, I want to thank each one of you. I think there was when we started this whole registration, we received responses from 250 odd participants from various industries, government, financing institutions, technology providers. I could see that almost 170, 180 people today have participated in today's webinar. That just shows the interest that this particular webinar has received. And lastly, I want to conclude by saying that from an ESG perspective, water is a very material topic for many sectors who are water intensive. And from a disclosure perspective, if you see the upcoming disclosures which are coming up, whether it is IFRS, S1, S2, or the European CSRD, not coming here in India, but there are several companies from India who have to adhere to this. You have to show what is the impact that your water unavailability will have on your business top line and bottom line. So this disclosure on the financing of the companies, which is going to help investors to decide or help any shareholders to decide whether they need to further invest into the company or not, is becoming very important. And hence my last sentence goes to say that use water from municipal source could be your secured source of water. So that's my humble request to industries. Please go all out. use this opportunity provided by Mahua and DFAT to see how collaborations could be achieved between technology providers, urban local body colleagues, and industries and financing institution to scale this up. So thank you so much on behalf of Protivity and my team who have joined me in terms of doing this fantastic webinar. I also want to spend a minute thanking each one of them for doing a great job, and for my eminent panelists who really came on board within a very, very short time. So really appreciate each one of your support. So with that said, we end today's webinar, and we will see you soon for the next one coming up, in this series. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.